Hello, hi. My name is Miriam. I'm 20. Wait, I will probably be 21 by the time you watch this video. I'm Ghanaian, I'm African and proud of it. I'm in Ghana now, my parents' land, but I'm here with a different purpose, a goal, to help refocus our mind back to what really matters. 10% of the Ghanaian population are disabled, which includes those mentally and physically who may be deaf, blind, physically challenged and other conditions. 10% may seem like nothing compared to the other 90%, but it brings a whole different perspective when you realize that these people in the minority are the ones constantly fighting and struggling due to this society's ignorance in giving them the rights that they are perfectly entitled to. Most importantly, in Ghana, because of faith and culture which is sometimes abused, preventing us from dealing with situations in front of us, persons with disability are often seen as outcast, good for nothing, cursed, and this is a problem in many parts of the world also. This way of thinking, I believe, is the real disease. Disability does not mean inability. So I'm here to connect with those precious ones that fit in the category and highlight organizations that are doing things to help those physically disabled in Ghana. Her name is Saaku Grateful. As a little girl, Saaku became infected with a disease which caused her to be paralyzed and lose strength in her legs. Despite her physical condition, Saaku managed to rise. In 2012, she founded EEPD Africa, a non-profit organization which aims to enlighten and empower people with disabilities in Africa. She's also a disability rights activist here in Ghana.
I was supported by my former school or my alma mater with $10,000 to really come and do this project. We are really focusing on the rights of people with disabilities generally, and also making sure that we use the disability law of Ghana and the UNCRPD, the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities in unison. So we use this policy or the law as well as the convention. I realized the very first pressing issue in Ghana is access to education, which I'm a victim and a survivor of. So that is how it came about, because personally I had polio from the beginning.
I was going to ask you later to tell us a bit about your story.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So I think that is one thing that I realized, that I have to fight for the rights to education in Ghana. I think with that, I would say from that onset, that gave the push.
What made you who you are today? That people get to know a bit more about Saaku.
If you put it like what made me who am I today, I would say God. I'm a Christian, and I believe so strongly that it is by the grace of God that I got to this level, because from childhood I had polio at age 8. I was in class 2 by then. So I had to go back to crawling and start walking and do stuff after 8 years. So that's a long story anyway. So let me say, after the polio, the main issue which really broke the camel's back was in 2006, because I had one leg which was strong, or the right one, which I was really working with. I went to school, went to training college, became a professional teacher. I went to the University of Ghana. And in the process of going to a lecture one day, I was climbing to we call it the SRT, and to the SRT top, and one of my crutches got broken. So I fell from the top and somersaulted. And that really affected my right leg, because the kneecap is shifted, which needs an operation, and which is very dicey, and it may get corrected or may even spoil it if I should do an operation.
Did she support you?
Yes, my mom is my backbone, my everything, because I was neglected by my dad.
Because of your condition?
Yeah, my dad realized he couldn't contain it, and I always tell him that he's a coward, he couldn't withstand it, so he had to run away from my mom. He wrote a letter down that he doesn't know what he will use that thing for, like I was that thing by then. But I think now he realized I'm the cornerstone who was rejected. Yeah, because I'm in a good term with my mom now, just because of Christ, and with my dad, and now we are together, especially, yeah.
As someone who works with people that are disabled, I'm sure a lot of them see you work with them, you empower them. What is the state of mind when they first come to see you in Ghana, in terms of who you know?
I think they see the difference, especially because most of them do not have the educational background that I do have, and what motivates them, or what I think, because when I started mobilizing my people, it's about using myself as a sample. It's not really easy for most of them, because one, some have been groomed by their family. The attitudes of our families already tells you that you cannot be productive if you are disabled, and some are like, you are cursed, you are useless. Those are some of the perceptions or the issues people really have about disability. It's a taboo topic. You cannot treat it. It's like when you mention it, everybody like, wish. Just maybe because of the fear of the unknown. Yeah,
that's exactly
yeah.
It.
So that makes it very complex for some of them. Even as I try or to mold them, to build them their self-esteem and do stuff, they still think, no, I'm not going to do it. But on the flip side, there are great portion of the people with disabilities who are there to be changed and who are ready to really just look at a model and just listen to somebody.
What are some of the things that you think should improve in terms of how the disabled are put forward in the society?
When you talk about improvement, one major problem that I have with the community is the attitude. First, the attitude. If everybody really changes his or her attitude and knows very well that disability issues are very, very important, or they should be on the priority list for every organization, every government, every institution, I don't even think that we have to change anything again. But because we haven't changed our attitudes or mindset towards disability, that is why anything about disability seems to be okay, we will see to that later, seems to be a second class issue. So it's all about mindset.
There are many reports of people with disabilities in Ghana finding it difficult to find employment because of their condition and the discrimination that follows. The Disability Persons Act 715 was passed into law in 2006. Though it has different sections that deals with the rights of those disabled, not all of them are implemented. Under the Disability Persons Act 715, a person who discriminates against a disabled person is committing a crime that is punishable by law. They could be fined or imprisoned. Yet a number of precious ones here in Ghana are still discriminated against, even in the employment sector. Some of them are refused jobs solely based on the fact that they are disabled. But in fact, a section on Article 715 states that if the name of a disabled person is found on a job search list for more than 2 years, they should be given the proper tools or trainings and even capital to start a business. Section 7 states that a person who provides service to the public shall put in place the necessary facilities that makes the service available and accessible to a person with disability. Yet most public buildings in Ghana are not disability friendly and do not provide easy access or easy entrance for those in wheelchairs. In fact, almost 10 years now since the act was passed into law, many government buildings are yet to have the right facilities to even welcome those physically impaired in their compounds. So I am here with Elvis. Hello, Elvis. You are in a wheelchair. And in terms of transportation and everything, how is the situation now? Because I saw your report, TV3, about disability access in Ghana, and I saw that you had a lot of difficulties, even getting into buildings and getting trotters and taxis to stop for you. How is the situation now?
Yeah, really. We are working towards to eliminate those barriers, but it still remain the same. Just now, if I'm traveling to my hometown or my house, I have to buy extra seats for my wheelchair if the driver will agree to take me. The reason is that they don't want to tie the boots. Why? Is because when they get into barrier, there's a law that their boots should be open when the car is moving. And when they get there, police will stop them, and probably they will waste their time or collect something from them. Because of police, as I said earlier on, the driver will not take you to have a problem.
So, how do you get from place to place then? It's because of the extra chair that you said,
extra seats. You have to buy extra seat. Instead of one fare, you have to buy double seat and pay double fare.
Really?
Yes. Or else you have to squeeze yourself if you don't have money for the 2 seats. You have to squeeze yourself, carry the wheelchair. Before you get to your destination, your dress become dirty. I don't waste it because of I travel a lot, I move a lot. So to a destination to the destination, you know, my street will become dirty. So people will see me like excuse me to say hopeless person with disability.
You also want to tell people that it's not all disabled people that are poor or are helpless. You're not hopeless. You are, you know, you are good in who you are. You are confident in yourself.
Yeah, it's true. When you look at the section 6 and 7, you talk about accessibility in general. But here is the case. Traditional leaders, parliamentarians, are the decision makers. They have voice in this country. They are the only people who can do this for us to also get free access in the country. And the media is doing its part, but I think they should do more. They should do more. They should do more because people listen to different radio stations, different television, read different papers. Disability is not ability. Don't wait till it comes to you.
Do you think it's the mentality of people that needs to improve more, or is the ministers and government that needs to provide more accessibility? Which one needs to improve?
Yeah, it's both. You know, either we have a leaders or not, everybody, we reason, we thinking. Everybody in this country who have the negative perspective and the decision makers of this country.
Do you have any final words or anything that you want to say to people watching right now?
Yeah, you know, for me, when I'm talking about accessibility, it's not accessibility, environment accessibility alone. Here for some time now, I'm not working. I don't have access to job. Accessibility to job. Not me alone. I have so many, because since I'm the chairman of the district, that means I'm administrator of my members in the metropolitan locality. A lot of issues. One, government allocates some fund for PWD, which is 2%. 2%. I thought common fund. Some people are seamstress, some still are shoemakers. When the cost of establishment, they need a place to establish. The tax force in the country should allow our people to operate at the convenience place, safe place. In the arts, somewhere they talk about incentive for persons with disability. We have a right for not pay those tax. Yeah. This country we have those negative perspective. Somebody have the skill, but because of his person with disability, he will underrate the fellow. So we are appealing to those own companies and factories and offices. Test the person before discriminate. Because there's a quality on human being, other person with disability or not. But they see our appearance, and then they will tell you, my boss is not around. Go and come. They should assess the fellow before they take a decision.
I'm making my way to the Accra Rehabilitation Center. Developed under Kwame Nkrumah's leadership in 1962, it was one of the first centers in Ghana which provided an avenue and a free space for people with all forms of disabilities in the country. The center became a place of freedom and a place for training with the aim of providing careers and enhancing skills. Now, years later, the center looks different from how it was 40 years ago, but is still home to a number of offices occupied by those who still believe in the cause of the minority. This is I think the blind that are together in this place is very, very inspiring. The blind are teaching one another. I thought there was one person who would be, you know, not blind and teaching them, but no, it's the blind teaching one another. You know, they're having a meeting, and it's very inspiring. I'm just thinking, why should that limit myself? Why should I use excuses? You know, so it's very, very inspiring. Hello.
Hi.
What's your name? Your name?
I'm Nina.
Nina.
Yes.
All right.
We talk about different things, you know, general welfare of our members. You know, we are made up of different kinds of people. Some are workers, some are non-workers, some are students. You know, so I talk about different things, how to raise funds, and sometimes how to have fun. I myself, I'm a student, and I hope to work in the future. But I know that after school, I may not find so much difficulty, because I think awareness is getting out there, even though it's not there. Awareness is still coming, and some employees are okay to employ persons with visual impairments, partly because now lots of persons with visual impairment are going to school. They are getting education, and they are accessing technology, and so there's no work I can't do if it does not involve using the computer. The blind person can do different things. Some are broadcasters, some are teachers, different things. So I'm sure it's getting there. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. The awareness is still.
What do you think about how, you know, disabled people are seen in the Ghanaian community? Because the reason why I'm doing this project is to raise kind of awareness and to just take away this stigma that is unfortunately still here. So what's your view on it? What do you think should improve as well?
Well, you know, the awareness should keep on, because it's going, but it's not there yet, like you said. As now most disabled people are accessing technology, accessing education, and we should be able to prove ourselves, to dispel the doubt of anybody. Society normally links disability with religion and superstition.
That's right.
Yes, so we just need more education and more showing of ourselves, proving ourselves.
Do you have anything else to say?
I'll say that we should try to be open-minded, not just stick to our own conceptions and misconceptions that this is what we know about a person with disability, so we shouldn't allow the person. Just give the person the chance. Allow the person to go on, allow the person to do whatever he wants to do, so far as it will bring this development in the community.
Thank you so much for your time. So I am here with the center manager of the Accra Rehabilitation Center. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Stephen Dombo.
Stephen
Dombo.
So can you tell us what you do here at the Accra Rehabilitation Center? What is your role?
Okay. The Accra Rehabilitation Center was established in 1962 under the auspices of the Department of Social Welfare to train and empower all persons with disability in employable skills. So we give skill training in carpentry, in tailoring, in visual arts, in rural craft, and then in leather work. So currently, the Accra Rehab Center hosts persons with visual impairment, persons with hearing impairment, persons with physical disability, and persons with psychosocial disability. And our trainee population stands at 30, 130 at the moment. And all of the 30 are resident in the center, and we are feeding them 3 times a day.
So how is it going so far in terms of the not the training, but you know, the different departments, tailoring and all that? How is it going so far?
So far, you know, from 62 till date, the center has been progressing in this mandate of the training. I'm glad to say that from 1962 to date, we have trained over 1,000 persons with disability. Out of the number, 10 of them are employed by the Department of Social Welfare. Now, some of them too are employed by other non-governmental organizations, and then most of them are self-employed, living an independent and responsible lives, contributing positively to the development of Ghana.
All right. So I came here on Friday actually. This is my second day at the Accra Rehabilitation Center. And I saw a lot of different people, but I saw that I expected more people, but you mentioned that it's because of the holiday. In terms of, how does it work in terms of, you know, the people that stay here and all that?
Well, those who stay here are our trainees. Now, apart from the Accra Rehab Center, all NGOs that are dealing with persons with disability, they have their offices located here. So sometimes we see some disabled persons here. It doesn't mean that they belong to the Accra Rehab Center, but they belong to the other associations located within the center. The Accra Rehab Center strictly is a government of Ghana institution, you know, that trains. But the other NGOs, they have their own functions and activities very different from what we do.
Have you had any difficulties in terms of funding and, you know, even the mindset towards those who are disabled in Ghana is still there? Have you faced any difficulties with the center and the perceptions of this place, what people think of it and all that?
Well, let me begin by saying that the Accra Rehab Center is a government of Ghana institution, like I mentioned earlier on. And as a government institution, government is funding, government brings funds for training and running of most of our activities here. We receive funding from central government and we don't have problem in that regard. Now, talk about stigma. You know, in the Ghanaian context, or the perception of most Ghanaians is that they use three major things to describe a person with disability. And the first thing they talk about is that when a person is born with disability, they say this person came as a result of a case. That is why the person is looking the way he's looking. If you give birth to a child with some birth defects or deformities, they will tell you that this person is cursed. The gods are angry, and the gods has visited the parent with this kind of punishment. That is why you give birth to a child without legs, or without eyes, without ears, you know. Then the other thing they say is that most persons with disability are sick. They say they are sick because of the way they look. Then the third thing they talk about is that they are what? Fools. These are the three things they use to describe person with disability. So with this mindset, when it comes to issues about the disabled, most people don't want to have anything much to do with them, because who would want to associate himself with a cursed object like a disabled person? No. So the stigma is still ongoing. People still stigmatize. We place a lot of that on persons with disability. And for me, as a social worker, I think what we need to do and what we have to do is to continue with the public and social education, to educate members of our community to believe that any one of us can become disabled at any time in your working life. God forbid, if you don't die prematurely and you grow to old age before you die, you first of all become disabled before you die. Why? You're going to lose your sight. You can't see as you used to see. Your memory is going to go. You know, your hearing is going to go. Physically, the way you look, you don't look the way you look, but you look very bad because age is catching up with you. So we have to continue with the public education to educate members to believe that any one of us can become disabled. So when it comes to issues about disability, it is for all of us to do the best we can to support a disabled person.
Do you believe it can improve? Are you positive that this mentality or whatever needs to improve could improve?
Yes, it can be improved through education. Like I said earlier on, look at the way you look. You see, you look very beautiful. But give yourself some few years. Just maybe add about 60 years to your current age. You don't look the way you look. Now when you look the way it means disability had set in. You know, so any one of us potentially were disabled persons.
Anything else you want to say? Or?
Well, what I'd like to say is that since 1962, the Accra Rehab Center has been training persons, male persons with disability. But plans are far advanced to include females with disability. So I want to use this platform to inform Ghanaians and to whoever that's going to watch this clip that the Accra Rehab Center is open to any person with disability who want to receive skill training in carpentry, in tailoring, in visual art, in rural craft, and then in leather work. Whether you are a male or a female with disability, please come. Then you learn the vocation of your choice. Everything here is free.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
My name is Agnes Phoebe. I'm a member of Saaku Ghana, a board member of Saaku Ghana. It's an association of persons with neurological and autoimmune condition. Basically, we come here at the Rehabilitation Center to have a support group meeting. Yes, here we've been given one room whereby we used to come here once every month, where individual members, that is sufferers of autoimmune and neurological disorder, meets and we deliberate on how our welfare and how best we can support each other. The Rehab Center contributes a lot. It has contributed a lot previously, in the previous years. But there's more room to be improved. Anyway. To me, I think that since there's a rehabilitation center, or when it comes to rehabilitation, I think there should be a social workers.
Social workers,
yes, whose work should be such that they should be running through homes. You see, they should be visiting homes. But there are individuals who are homebound. They cannot be admitted in the center. So what do we do to support such people? Therefore, I was suggesting that there should be social workers who should be moving from house to house and giving that, assessing them and find a way, bringing them on board and find a way to help such people. Because people who are homebound and they have severe disability and they are left in the hands of their family, and the family too are not really taking good care of them. I think rehabilitation center is here, and I think it's one of the proper place that such people can be brought here and then go through some kind of assessment of whatever, and they can also benefit from the rehabilitation center. But very few are benefiting, which is very bad. For instance, I can't even raise my arm up to above my head. I can't use my arms. I can only write with it. Yes, I have this neurological condition, but I can talk. I think I can do something for myself. I can use the computer. Yes. And to come here, how do I come? Mobility is a problem. So how do I come? I only need mobility, that is all. Transportation that will take me to and fro. That is all that I need. That's why I said that there's more room for improvement.
Saaku Ghana is a corporation that centers on people with autoimmune and neurological conditions. The therapeutic center receives children every week to receive treatment and free physiotherapy for those who can't afford private therapies.
The children that we started with were 3 children. First child, the idea of the mother was that the child is not a human being. So they have a way of doing away with such children. But daddy took it as a challenge and she would not allow it. So through that case, we started receiving cases of that nature.
My shoulder, my knees, my toes, my head, my shoulder, my knees, my toes, my head, my shoulder, my knees, my toes. You're not doing it. They all belong to Jesus. Okay, let's do it.
All that I'm saying, I want to say is that we need more hands in terms of financial support. We want a physiotherapy too, a permanent one, handle the children for us.
So the people, the physiotherapy that come here come and go basically. They're not
Yes.
based here.
No.
What's your aim for Sheke? How big do you want it to be? What's the aim of Sheke really? What's your hope in the future for this organization?
First, Sheke started as adults group, and now the children have now taken over Sheke. Because of the children, Sheke is not traveling to many areas. So one Sheke will be very, very big in terms of the children, because we need them more.
Farida Bedwe is also an executive member of the Sheke organization. She's also one of the most influential women in technology here in Ghana.
If I have to introduce you, I would say you're a businesswoman. That's how I see you. You're a software engineer, so you're an IT specialist. You're constantly going beyond the limits that people used to put with. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, yeah.
So you have cerebral palsy. A lot of people don't know about it. They may see people that have this condition, but they don't know about it. So for those who don't know, what is cerebral palsy? Just a few words.
Cerebral palsy is a brain damage to the emotional development of the patient. It affects the way they talk, the way they move, as well as in some extreme cases it can affect the sight, the hearing, as well as the mental capabilities of the patient. So it varies from patient to patient. There are people who are worse off than me, and there are people who are better off than me.
A lot of people in this world, even those that don't have your condition, limit themselves in some way. They say, I can't speak, I can't do this, I'm not smart enough. But despite this, the condition that you have confidence to follow your passion and do what you do. How do you get that courage and that confidence from?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with me. I mean, that is, so I don't see why I shouldn't have that confidence. I mean, I'm just as good as you, just because there are certain things you can do that I cannot do doesn't make you any better than me. I'm sure there are lots of things that I can do that you cannot do as well. So that is how we look at it. When you see somebody with a disability, you should not limit them to what you think they are capable of doing, because a lot of people with disabilities have special hidden talents that people don't know, because they're given the opportunities to find out what their talents are and how and to capitalize on them.
The world is full of technology. As someone who focuses on the computer, you know about the new things coming up, social media. But despite all that, despite the new technology, there's still this old mindset, cultural mindset in Ghana for a lot of people that disability is still a curse. People shouldn't really approach people that don't look like you. This fear of the unknown is still there. So what do you think? What do you think of those who are still slave to that mentality? Maybe not thought of on their own, might be through what they've heard. What do you think? What would you say to those that still think of disability as something that is a curse of someone? What would you say to that, to those?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, tomorrow anybody could be disabled. So what happened to me? Because as I said, disability, it does not discriminate. You can be rich, you can be poor. When it's your time to have disability, it's your time to have disability. So if you are able to approach it with that perspective, then you'll be able to realize that it can happen to you at any day, at any time. So the most important thing is for you to help make the world a conducive place for people with disability, so that if God forbid you find yourself in that position, you'll be able to survive with a modicum of dignity.
You've mentioned in the past that, though obviously it was maybe a good experience for you to move here, you also got people telling you about, how orphans to go to healing camps, and because of their mentality. How was it for you? Because I'm sure you had that period of saying, what is wrong with people? So how was it for you when people mentioned that?
Well, of course, when you are younger, you have a different perspective about this thing. As you go older, you realize you have to put yourself in the shoes of those people and realize that as much as they got you wrong, they did it out of the goodness of their heart because they genuinely believed that those places would have a solution for you. So I don't hold it against them, but I wish they would learn a bit more about the various conditions and realize that it's not a curse, it's not a spiritual thing, it is a brain damage. And sure, as a Christian, I believe in all the fundamentals of Christianity, but I also believe that, I mean, God uses other people to give you what you need. So that is why doctors and things are there to diagnose, and physiotherapists are there to rehabilitate. And I also believe that, I mean, it's not everybody who will get their miracles. I believe that I was put in this world with this condition to help other people realize that it's not the end of the world to have a disability. Because if I can be successful and reach the stage I've reached with my condition, I believe that everybody or disabled can also do even better than me.
Alright. Because this video is about physical disability and bringing the world back to what matters, what do you think should be done in Ghana to ensure that this, stigma towards those disabled is changed? Or because the laws are there, but I guess the mentalities. What should be done? What can we do as people?
Well, we can do a lot of advocacy because I think most of the problems we have is due to ignorance. And if people are not educated, you can't blame them for being ignorant. So it's all a matter of education and advocacy.
You've also written a book called Definition of a Miracle. I like that title. Are you the one who came up with it?
Yeah, it's a fictional account of some of the experiences I went through growing up in Ghana. It's not biography.
Finally, Farida, let me ask you, how do you see yourself 5 years from now? What should we expect from you?
I don't know. I mean, I expect to be my business to have grown, and I'll see where God takes me. That's the most important thing for me.
Thank you so much, Farida, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I've met some wonderful people throughout this journey, heard different voices, saw different aspects, but there's still questions that remains. A question that bugs me, and that should for all of us. What is the place for the deaf in Ghana? Are there enough doctors or nurses who understand sign language to communicate with those who are deaf? Are the ones meant to understand them the ones failing them the most? So I'm here to meet James Sambian, the Executive Director of the Ghana National Association of the Deaf, who tell me all about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me into your office.
It's a pleasure.
So I just wonder, what is the place for the deaf in Ghana? What in the employment sector, in society, what is the place for the deaf in Ghana? Is there any space for them? What do you think?
Well, there is a space, legally, constitutionally. There is a place for the deaf in Ghana. Because if you look at the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, there are a lot of articles that are to the benefit of persons with disability, including deaf people in Ghana. So, legally and constitutionally, there is a space. But in practice, the space is very small. The space is very small because of three main factors. One is societal attitude. Like you talked of perception, and then also the stigma. That's one area. The second area is about implementation of existing laws and policies, enabling legislation. Even though we have legislation, we have laws that inure to the benefit of persons with disability, including deaf people. They are not being implemented. So that's the second challenge. And the third challenge, obviously, is to do budgetary constraints. From budgetary constraints, from most of them I will explain Yeah, so basically, these are the three main disabling factors that doesn't give space to deaf people.
What are some of the ideologies that people have of those who have hearing impairments here in Ghana? What are some of the things that people say?
Well, I think that for deaf people, you know, there is even historically, if you look back in history and in practice, you know, the person who is deaf is considered also to be dumb. They always say deaf and dumb.
Mind or dumb?
Yeah, deaf and cannot speak. And you know, people think that if you cannot speak out your mind, then it's like you are stupid or you don't have any knowledge. That's why you cannot speak. And so there is this negative perception that if you are deaf, then you are also dumb. And I want to use this platform to say that deaf people prefer to be called just deaf, not deaf and dumb. And therefore, I want to use this platform to educate the public that deaf people do not want to be called deaf and dumb. Just call them deaf. They even prefer to be called deaf than to be called hearing impaired, because they want to associate deaf culture and they are proud of being deaf, because it's not their making that they are deaf, and so they recognize that and they take pride in that. Sign language is their pride, and sign language is deaf culture.
Is it do you think it's a wrong mindset in terms of how people see those who are deaf as, you know, they can't speak or?
Well, I think it's lack of knowledge, for lack of a better word, or maybe they are not properly sensitized and educated about issues of deafness. Because if you get close to a deaf person and you understand their situation, but if you are from a distance, you may not know much. And so because of the lack of knowledge, people tend to behave in a certain way which may be negative towards deaf people.
You meet a lot of deaf people in Ghana here. What is their mindset? What do you understand sign language? I'm sure you know how to do
A bit,
them.
yes.
What is their mindset in terms of them living in Ghana, their lifestyle? Are they satisfied?
Well, no, not quite. They are not satisfied. And I can give you quite some examples. They are not satisfied. And we can take three major areas. Education, for example. You and I can go to any school of our choice, isn't it? And that's the right for you to go to any school of your choice, whether at the tertiary level or at the secondary level. But for deaf people, they are limited. There's only one secondary school for the deaf in Ghana. And so if you are a deaf person and you are in Bolgatanga or in Napanduri, in the northern region, far some remote village somewhere, and you have to come to secondary school, you have to come all the way from that to Nambombeke. As for the tertiary education, don't go there at all, because at the tertiary level, there are no sign language interpreters. So deaf people are not able to access tertiary education because of the lack of sign language interpreters. So at the educational level, they feel that they have been totally left out. They've not been totally catered for by institutions that should provide for them. So at the educational level, they are not catered for, and they feel that they have not been treated fairly.
Most of them you meet kind of have that.
Yes, they have that feeling.
So yes, I was going to get to the sign language part of it. I read an article. In fact, you made a statement. I'll paraphrase a little bit that. When you go to hospitals, when you go to their health facilities, there aren't a lot of people who know how to communicate with those who are deaf. So wrong prescriptions are given.
Yes.
You mentioned that. Is it true?
Yes, it is true. It's quite true. Because the thing is that if a healthcare personnel is not able to properly diagnose a deaf person's ailment, then obviously you will not be able to give the right prescription or the right treatment to the deaf person. And in some cases, we've recorded some casualties in some of the districts in Ashanti region. For example, some casualties have been reported because of wrong diagnosis. And so, yes, it's there.
So some deaf people have died because of
yes, some deaf people have died because of wrong medication.
This is a serious problem.
This is a serious problem. It's a serious problem. And so I think the best way to do with it is to see how we can increase sign language services within the healthcare delivery system, whether at the hospital level or maybe at the institutional level, so that maybe the institutional care division of the Ghana Health Service can make provision for sign language interpreters to be deployed or to be on, if you like, contract or standby. And if there is a need for the hospital authority to use an interpreter, then they can call into a center and then use them. Alternatively, the National Health Insurance Scheme could also make sign language service as one of its, how do they call it, a service, as one of the benefits of National Health Insurance for deaf people. So if you have a health insurance card and you go to the hospital and you go with an interpreter, then the health insurance will pay for the services of the interpreter, so that the cost is not to the deaf person. So these are some of the areas that they can look at to improve healthcare for deaf people and to make deaf people feel that they are part of governance, or they are part of the country.
When you look at years before compared to now, do you think that how people look at for the deaf place in society or employment, do you think it has improved, or is the same thing? The place that they are given in the employment sector in society. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I think that in terms of employment, they have very limited employment opportunities. In fact, I can say for a fact that just apart from Ghana Education Service, most of them are teaching. Most of them are teaching in the school for the deaf, the schools for the deaf. That's the major area of employment for deaf people.
Depending on how long you've been in this position, do you think it has improved?
Well, I think that I wouldn't say it has improved, but I wouldn't also say it has declined. I think it's still the same. There's a lot that still needs to be done, and so I wouldn't say that it has improved.
Are you positive that it will improve?
Yes, I'm positive, because I think what we have done is that we've tried to centralize employment institutions, people who are employing people to try to employ deaf people, and we've tried to explain to them the benefits and the credibility of deaf people who are working in other places. So, for example, we've been able to get some hotels, first-class hotels, agreeing to employ deaf people. And I think they've employed quite a significant number of people, some of these hotels. So we are hoping that if we can use this as, an example to other institutions, we'll be able to increase the number of deaf people.
Thank you so much. Do you have anything else to say?
Well, I think that I would like to say that deaf people, I've known deaf people for quite a while now, and I think that deaf people are very obsequious. Obsequious in the sense that they pay attention to detail, and whatever work you ask them to do, they do it very well, and they are very diligent in whatever they do. And so I want to use this platform to say that give deaf people a chance. When deaf people come to you, consider them. Don't look at their disability, don't look at their deafness, just look at their capability. Test them, give them a test, and you will be surprised of how much they can do. So give them a chance. That's what I'd like to say.
It was revealed that by 2015, Ghana will have an inclusive education policy, which is also to ensure that all children, no matter what their background or abilities are, is integrated into the education system. According to a director of the Special Education Division here in Ghana, children in special schools will be reassessed, screened, and those found suitable to enter into mainstream normal schools will be sent there. This is a huge move. Here in Accra, though, there is already a school named Multi Kids Academy, which has an inclusive education system where children with all backgrounds and different abilities come together to learn and integrate.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
As it is said here, so this is Multi Kids Academy. Our motto really is that every child matters. We believe in inclusive education, and we believe that every single child matters, irrespective of your disability, irrespective of where you come from. It took them about 3 months to put this together. So this is our visit to the school's visit to Flagstaff House to see the president. It was on the occasion of our end of year celebrations. So that's the president and that's the vice president with staff and members of the school and staff members and students of the school.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, my name is Farouk Eliasu and I'm the chairman of the board of directors of Multi Kids Inclusive Academy.
In your own words, what is Multi Kids Academy, MKA?
Okay. So, just at the beginning of the year, we were MKA, but we've changed the name now to MKIA because we want to be able to stress on the inclusiveness of the school. So now it's called Multi Kids Inclusive Academy because that's what we want to sell. And by that I mean that for us, every child matters, irrespective of your background, your disability, or your capabilities. So Multi Kids, in a nutshell, is an inclusive school that caters for both students who are in the mainstream, who don't have any disabilities, as well as students who have special needs. And by special needs, I mean autistic students, students with dyslexia, partially blind students, partially impaired, visually impaired students, and so on and so forth. So we have both groups of people in the school, and we cater for them and their needs.
Do you have fully blind or deaf students, or is it just partially?
Well, we have fully deaf students and staff.
Oh, right.
We have got 2 staff who are deaf, and then we've got another we've got an interpreter, the one who signs. So a signing teacher. So he signs in every single meeting we have. He is there to sign because we've got 2 deaf staff, members of staff.
How many students and staff together do you have in this school?
Okay, so in total currently we have about 70 to 72 students, and we have about 40 staff. That tells you that we are very much concerned with delivering and meeting the needs of every student. The ratio is virtually 1 to 2. Our class sizes are no more than 5, 6, and sometimes we have got 2 teachers in one class. That is because of the needs of our students. Some of our students, like I said, are autistic, and so they've got behavioral problems. And therefore, it is very necessary for staff to be there in order for them to ensure that what we are delivering, the lessons we are delivering, are captured by the students. Our students, when they finish here, there are varied opportunities for them, including working and living independently.
How did the vision start for MKA, and when was it founded in terms of history and all that?
Okay, so now I joined in 2 years ago as a chairman of the board of directors, so I'm virtually new, but I'm going to try as much as possible to tell you. The school was started by Amanda Badge and a lady called Ingrid. They came together to start the school about 5 years ago.
Are they Ghanaians?
No. Ingrid, I think, is from one of the Scandinavian countries, I'm sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's from Norway. And Amanda is British. Now, the history, I know about Amanda more than I know about Ingrid, actually. Amanda was here about 5 years before she came back again. Amanda is married to a Ghanaian, and her son is in the school. Her son has been in the school throughout. I mean, that shows you the trust that she has in the school for her to put her son in the school. And at first, it was just purely to take care of people with who have autistic problems.
Was Amanda's son disabled?
No, it's not disabled, mainstream. But over the years, as we started developing, we said we needed to bring in mainstream students as well because our ethos is one of inclusiveness.
So if I want to ask you also about how it's funded and stuff like that. How is it funded? Is it government funded? How is it?
Absolutely not.
It's just...
Yes, and that's where I think that one of the founders of the school, Amanda, has done very well because everything that comes to the school, all the money we make is internally generated. So most of our funding comes from the school fees. Once in a while we get a company to sponsor us doing something, but we don't get regular funding from any source at all. And that's the reason why this year we decided to form the Multi Kids Foundation. I'll give you an example. just by the end of the academic year, we had somebody from Brownsville region, which is quite a distance from here, from Accra, who came here and wanted his son to come to the school. And based upon assessment, we found out that he was only going to be able to pay about 500 cedis a month. Now, that was way, way too low for us. Now, if we had the foundation in place, and we had been able to raise that money through the foundation, we would have sponsored the guy, the man's child. So what we are trying to do in the next 5 years, as part of a plan, is to franchise Multi-Kids Academy in all the regions so that they will be able to take care of the needs of the people with disabilities in those regions in the community.
Now that Ghana wants to put an inclusive education policy, I'm sure by September.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges you think will happen? Because would it work from your point of view?
That's a tough question. As part of our celebration, we met some of the people who were involved in putting the policy together. And one of the things I told them was that in Ghana, we are very good at bringing policies out. We are the best in the world, I think, in bringing policies, writing policies. Where we fail is the implementation of those policies. Now, so you go and find we have got very good policies that are lying down and have not been implemented. We are not waiting for them to implement it. We are doing what we can do as best as we can in order for us to be able to make sure that we meet the NDG goals as in terms of inclusiveness for this year. The policy has just come off the press, very hot, and we are working with other stakeholders to ensure that this works. Now, for it to work, we have to change our attitudes as people, you understand? Because now there's a history, there's a history that, it's not only in Ghana, there's a long history of people who are disabled being persecuted from Hitler's time. So the attitude is there, and it's still very much in Ghana, where if you have a disability, I would prefer to hide you instead of expose you to the public because I'm ashamed of you. If you have a disability, your auntie did the juju on you and so on and so forth. So we have to change these attitudinal behaviors in order for us to achieve what we want.
So you feel that the minds needs to be changed?
Oh, absolutely.
Before this takes place.
Absolutely. Because that needs a lot of desensitization across the country. That needs a lot of making people aware that the fact that you have got a disability does not mean you can't contribute to society. And that's why we as Multi-Kids Academy always insist on the fact that every child matters, because we believe that it is society which disables people with disabilities, and people with disabilities are not disabled. It is we society who disable them by our attitudes and the way we behave towards them.
So it's not as if you're in that place doing your inclusive school thing, but you don't really care about others. You actually want all schools to actually have this inclusive education. You're not segregating.
No, not at all. I think we've got about 2.2, 2.3 million disabled people in the country. Have we got 2.2 million people with disabilities in schools or in work? No. We've got a fewer number. Now we have to make sure, and we are the forefront of making sure that we educate people and tackle government. We have been in touch with the special education unit of the Ghana Education Service, and we are always having conversations as to how best we can promote inclusive education in the country.
If this inclusive education policy works, takes place by September, do you think it could change people's mentality towards it if it just happened without really people expecting it?
No, I don't think so, and that's why I said we need to educate people. It is for us to start demystifying disability. It's for us to start educating people on the fact that people with disabilities, when you give them the equality of opportunity, they'll be able to contribute to the development of the country. It is a fact. It is not anything that you don't have to do any research to find that out. The most important thing is that you should give people equality of opportunity. That's our problem. So we need to change people's attitudes, right from the cleaner to the president. We need to change everybody's attitude. Otherwise, this policy will still be on the shelf in the next 5 years.
Do you have any last words? Because obviously, what schools are trying to do now is follow your example.
Before I do that, I want to go through what our values are.
Okay.
And our values are creativity, because we believe that every single child is creative. Every single child is very innovative and very creative. So, and at the same time, we believe in diversity, because people come from different backgrounds and nobody is independent. We are all dependent on each other. So we ensure that we teach our kids about everybody's diverse needs and how they should respect people's diversity. We are also in the position to pioneer inclusion, as I told you earlier. We are in the forefront of it. Irrespective of what government policy is, we want to be at the forefront of it. We also teach our kids global citizenship. which is very much linked to diversity. Now, to your question about the advice or the suggestions I want to give to people, if you are able to see what people with disabilities, quote unquote, can produce in terms of contributing to development of their communities, then we will realize that they are also important people of the community. We need to change our attitude. People who are blind or people with disabilities don't need our sympathy. What they need us to empathize with them, not to sympathize with them. And that is the message I will give to the people, the stakeholders in the Ghanaian community, to empathize with them, not to sympathize with them. There's a big difference between the two.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Era koi sangai mani bani, walu koi